Hi, everybody. Aloha, and welcome to Lucy's Paradise Podcast. Today, we're doing something a little bit different. It's going to be similar to BS with Jake Paul because it's going to be BS with Lucy. So, we're going to have Grant, who is going to remain behind the camera, but I sent him a bunch of. I honestly just Googled like random questions, and he's going to ask me random questions, and I'm going to answer them. So,
All right, you ready?
change it up this time. Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. Question one. What is your favorite moment on the podcast thus far?
Ooh, my favorite moment on the podcast. Dang, that's really hard actually, because I'm thinking back to a bunch of different moments. I would, I think just because it's more recent. Besides my brother being on the podcast, I think that was one of my top favorites because he was able to roast me a little bit and kind of show how our relationship dynamic is, on camera. I think I'm going to say when Aaron Gomez, which this actually hasn't aired yet, so by the time this podcast will air, you guys will see it. At close to the end of the podcast, he explains a way that he journals, and I thought it was funny. Not in a offensive way. I wasn't expecting it. That's I think one of my favorite moments because I think it's great when people can be really honest and vulnerable and real. And so yeah, I would say that's one of my favorite moments.
Nice. Okay. Question two. What puts you in a good mood?
Um, what puts me in a good mood? Knowing I don't have work today. That puts me in an amazing mood because I know that like I can let the day just flow and like whatever I feel like doing in the moment I can do it. When I know I have to be somewhere and like I know I have a responsibility later on, specifically when I have to go to work, and I don't always like dread going to work, so don't get me wrong. But it's nice to know that I have that freedom in my day, and that is the whole reason I got out of the military, is to have like this ultimate freedom. So yeah, that makes me happy, makes me in a good mood.
Nice. What talent do you wish you'd have?
The talent I wish I had, this I don't know, this is gonna come out so weird. Because I'm I'm good at a variety of things. And I don't mean that in like an egotistical way. It was very frustrating growing up because, like, for example, my parents put me in a bunch of sports and I was good at all of them. So it was frustrating because I wasn't just good at one thing. And so my whole life, it was really hard to figure out what I wanted to focus on because I had so many different things that I enjoyed and that I was like decent at. So sometimes I kind of envy people that are just really good at one thing, even though I'm sure they're like envious of me because I'm good at multiple things. Sometimes just kind of having that one thing and one focus, I wish I was able to have.
Yeah,
So
Jack of all trades, master of none.
right, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool. Cool.
Like, can I just be good at accounting and have been an accountant? Like,
That'd be my wish too. What genre of music do you listen to the most?
right now, I would say like reggae, Hawaiian, like Mike Love, Bob Marley, um, those guys. That right now, those are the top ones. Only mostly because I like to start my day off with that kind of stuff because it keeps me in a positive mood. I can't listen to like rap and all that stuff, club music or whatever. I can't really listen to that stuff. I just and like the lyrics are a lot more negative than like Hawaiian music and stuff. So definitely like reggae and stuff. It makes you feel good.
Oh, here's a good one. What advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
Don't do it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm only kidding because I would have not listened to that anyway. What advice? 20. What was I doing at 20? So at 20, I was here in Hawaii. I would have probably told myself to go explore more.
Go explore more. Nice.
Yeah, like of the world.
Yeah, travel. Let's see. Speaking of which, what is one life lesson you think everyone should know?
One life lesson everyone should know. Dang, I'm trying to think of what the quote I don't want to butcher this one. I'm trying to think of what it is. Something came to my head, but then I was like, when you like, a saying, but you don't know like what order it goes in? I'm so horrible at these. I'm trying to think what it is. Oh, I got it. I remembered it. The best things in life aren't even things. And I think that is the best thing. That is the best type of advice or type of saying that people should know. The best things in life are not things, because people need to realize that these connections with other human beings are very valuable. People put a lot of emphasis and focus on money and their job, right? Or whatever it may be, their fame. Maybe they're obsessed with fame and whatever, but none of that matters at the end of the day. When you're having a bad day or you're going through something, it's the people around you, the people you have really close bonds to. All of the things don't really seem to matter anymore.
Nice. What's the biggest fear you've had to overcome?
The biggest fear I've had to overcome. Dang, these are really good questions. The biggest fear. It's hard for me to think of it because I always do whatever scares me. So I'm trying to think of something that I would consider my biggest. I would say, I think that something that's the most relevant, having faith in people, I think, is hard, especially when you've had certain experiences with them. Not to be super, super revealing and specific, but for example, you have a friend or whatever, and maybe they're still in their growth journey and they kind of hurt you, in certain ways. And you want to you forgive them, and you kind of, the friendship means a lot to you, so you want to keep continuing on. But I think the biggest fear is, like, you kind of have that knowledge that you already kind of know what they're capable of. They've already kind of hurt you in the past, and it's hard to kind of re-put that faith into that person. And I think that's hard to overcome, but I try my hardest to put my faith into God and have faith in people for their growth and things like that. And I just try to pray for people like that. And sometimes it's a great result, and I'm pleasantly surprised. And sometimes I wish that I listened to the knowledge I built initially, which was that maybe they couldn't be trusted or whatever else.
Let's take it down a bit.
Yeah.
Let's make
I'm gonna
it
cry on this. Like, I'm not trying to cry today.
Okay, here's an easy one. What was your favorite subject in school?
Lunch.
Mine was recess.
I told my dad that, and he thought it was funny. I think that was like the only time I ever made my dad laugh, because he wasn't expecting it. I was actually good at every subject except for math. So it wasn't, I guess PE was like, I excelled in sports. And everybody in my high school wanted to be on my team every time we had like a team thing come up because my team was undefeated in every sport. And so I would just, ask them, who wants to be on the winning team? And my PE teacher's just like, oh man, like, yeah, easy grade. But I did like lunch because what I would do at lunch is I would make these disgusting concoctions with my lunch. So I would have like this chicken and the rice, and I would pour like chocolate milk in it, and people would bet me money that I wouldn't eat it, and I would eat anything, and I would make so much money at school because I was such an entrepreneur, right? And I used psychology, I think, or whatever. And I was like, yeah, oh my God, this is so gross. And they're like, I bet you won't eat it. And I'm like, I bet you $50 I will. And then like they gave me $50 and I ate it. And they're like, oh my God, I just lost all my money. And I was like, I'm taking everyone to the movies, But yeah, lunch was fun too. But yeah.
Did you ever have the chocolate root beer milk?
No, I never had that.
Okay.
Where-
At my
where
school,
was
like
that?
during senior year, or maybe it
Root
was
beer?
junior and senior year, they had this like weird like root beer chocolate milk. So they had white milk, chocolate milk, and then they had root beer milk.
I never had that.
Oh, maybe it was like a Kaimuki High School exclusive.
I know. We
I
did
got
not
that all
have
the time.
that at Mililani or Leluhua. We definitely had chocolate milk. And I would, I made friends with the head cheerleader, and I would be like, every day I'd be like, hey, does anybody want to give me their chocolate milk? And I guess a lot of the cheerleaders, like, I don't know what I would trade them. I forget. I would trade them something or something, but they would always like get another one, like get a chocolate milk, even though they never drank the milk, and they would just give it to me. So I had like 5 chocolate milks. And yeah, I don't know why. I love chocolate milk. It was so good.
You've got to find that root beer milk.
Yeah, I never tried that.
That was a good one. Okay. What is your morning ritual, if you have one?
Morning ritual. One of the top things I do is go for a walk my dog, and I'll do like a Spanish lesson on Duolingo. I also do this at night, so it's a morning and a night routine. But I think second to that, the walking kind of just exposes me and my skin to the sun, which I think it's not good to be cooped up. I think that's the most negative thing about being inside all day, is that you're actually not getting the vitamin D from the sun. So that's kind of like the two birds with one stone, I would say, aside from exercise. So yeah, it's part of my ritual.
Nice. What was the last book you read?
The last book I read, I'm actually not finished with it. Wait, are we like audiobook or like actual physical book?
I mean,
Does it matter?
it doesn't specify, so you can say audio or physical.
Because I go like a back and forth, and right now I'm midway through the Situations, a book about his life, and he overcame addiction and stuff like that, and I'm midway through that book, and it's really good. And I love to read books about certain people or celebrities or people that I like to read about their life story and stuff like that. So that one's really interesting. I have to it's taken me a long time to get through it though, because he's a horrible, like, I don't like to listen to him read the story. Like, I feel like if it was somebody else reading the story, I would be fine. But for some reason, I think it's his voice annoys me or something. I don't know what it is. I really don't know what it is. No offense to Mike the Situation. I freaking love you, dude. And like, I love all his inspirational quotes. And his life is really interesting, but yeah.
Nice.
I hope I finish it soon.
Yeah, no, I like to listen to audiobooks for like you know what I mean. That and
Autobiographies?
self-help. Yeah, I like to listen to audiobooks with that, but when it comes to storybooks, those are the books that I like to read physically.
Yeah.
But I've been kind of in this rut of reading this one kind of bad book called like A Good Marriage. Don't read it.
Is it bad?
It's hard to read, but I also think it's because I don't read it consistently enough. And it but it's just like a court
I
case murder
try
mystery.
to at least read 10 minutes a day of like a physical book. So I
Yeah.
actually I just don't remember the title of it. I just got it at the library the other day. I think I took a picture of the title actually. But This one's gonna be good. It's really interesting so far. It's kind of an older book. I just found it. It was $1. Oh yes, I found it. So it's called Choice and Change: The Psychology of Holistic Growth, Adjustment, and Creativity. It's the third edition. It was $1. I bought it. I'm trying to do 10 pages a day of it, or
Nice.
10 minutes a day. So it's so far so good. I think it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's
cool.
gonna be a
I'll
good
take
one.
a
I'm
look at it.
excited about it.
Nice.
I'm a huge nerd.
What is your earliest childhood memory?
I have a few. What? God, I was such a little boy. Building my bike, riding my bike around the block. I also had a big wheel at one point that I would like drift all around the neighborhood. Skateboarding with my neighbor, who now lives on the Big Island. And playing with my GI Joe. Some early memories. So fun stuff.
Nice. What is the favorite thing you have at home?
The favorite thing I have at home?
Yeah, I guess it's like your most favorite thing, like your prized possession, or
Okay. I mean, it would have to be my my vintage collection of stuff, and why I'm not specific is because I have a lot of different stuff that's vintage. One thing that people might be surprised about is I have a vintage collection of Playboy magazines. I actually have the first, and it is in October 1989 edition, which I didn't realize this when I purchased it. And it's Pamela Anderson when she was on the first cover of Playboy. The only reason I mentioned 1989 in October is because that's when I was born, and the month and the year I was born. But it's mint condition. It's like never been. I think I'm the only one that opened it and touched it. But that's, I would say, one of my prized possessions. And yeah, I look up to her in a lot of different ways, even though I don't totally agree with selling, pornography and that sort of thing. I still think in a lot of ways her story is very impactful to young women. So, and I do still look up to her in a lot of ways. But yeah, I that's a prized possession, and I hope one day I can run into her and let her know that.
nice. What was your last dream about?
Oh dang, I don't even know. Um, Last dream that I remember. It was something about Sonia, I'm sure. I just don't remember exactly what it is. I gotta be better about writing my dreams down. I used to be really good at that. But I have had some horrific dreams that should literally be horror movies. But yeah, I don't really quite know.
I remember reading that, like, in order to remember your dream, when you wake up, you have to stay still for about 30 seconds.
Oh yeah, that's not happening. I'm not even still when I'm sleeping, so I don't know how that.
How do you relax yourself when you're stressed out?
Meditation, kind of focusing on something else, like playing a YouTube video, podcast, where I'm listening to somebody talk about something. That kind of helps.
Okay, nice. If there's if there's any place you would like to live for a year, where would it be?
There's a lot of places. The places that jumped out to me immediately were New Zealand, Japan, Monaco. I've been to Monaco, but I think it would be interesting to live there. I think it's always interesting to live in an environment because you're not just visiting. Visiting is a different thing because you're not. It's not your residence. It's a different feeling when you're actually living there. Where else? I think those would possibly be the top three, and maybe Spain. I would like to get dual citizenship, and possibly, because I am Spanish, so Spain, that would be cool too.
Nice. When you were little, what did you think you were going to be when you grew up?
I seriously thought I was gonna be a comedian.
Really?
Yeah,
Nice.
I don't know that I knew it was a career necessarily, but I was always jealous of my older brother because he had such a way of making people laugh, and I always wanted to make people laugh, and I was horrible at it. I was not good at it when I was younger. But yeah, I think that's probably what I thought I was gonna do.
Nice. Uh, what is your most healthy slash unhealthy habit? So I guess what's your healthiest habit? What's your most unhealthy habit? And
Probably working out because, for example, I just had a jujitsu fight on Saturday, and my brain was like, when can I go to class again? But then I was like, wait, I should probably rest my body because my neck was like sore for a couple days, and like clearly I'm still like kind of beat up and like my body's tired. So I think in a way I love it so much that it's healthy because I'm working out, but it's unhealthy because it's like an obsession, and it's like I can spend one day not in the gym. I can spend 1 week not going to my classes. But I just get this overwhelming sense of being behind in like my skills and my learning ship that it can become like you do have to rest your body, and you do have to rest. So for me, it makes that part of it a little difficult, and that's what I have to force myself to do. So it makes working out healthy and my unhealthy habit.
I see. Uh, if you could have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, tonight, who would it be?
Elvis Presley.
Good choice. Oh, you're not.
I have to. I can't really say anybody else because when I was a kid, my obsession with Elvis was like not normal, probably. Like I thought I was like I was gonna marry him one day, and my mom gave me the tragic news that he was not alive, and I was like, no, my husband. And my mom was just like, you're fucking weird. But I had like, she would buy me all these books about Elvis, and I like always read about his life, and I think a part of me probably wanted to join the military a little bit too because he did at one point. I don't know, but I was definitely obsessed with him. And yeah.
Nice. What was your favorite movie that he was in?
Ooh, oh shit, that's hard. Cause Blue Hawaii, but it's like none of his movies are really good. You know? So that's the thing. Like, they're not like, you know, when I think of a good movie, I think of Halle Berry in Monsters Ball. Like that's a good movie. Like that's actually the movie where she won an Academy Award, right? That to me is a good movie where they have, you know, a great director or a great storyline or like a great actress or actress that just plays this role, and you're like, wow, Elvis never played a role where
He just played himself.
you can hate me all you want, but Elvis never played a role where like if Elvis played like a crackhead or something, and you know, or like if Elvis played like, you know what I mean, like a king, or not a king because he kind of is a king of rock and roll, so it would be like playing himself. You got to play something that's so far beyond who you are as a person that you have to transform into another character to play that role well, and you got to do it well enough where it's just like, wow, I didn't even realize that was that actor, because they're just this, you just see them as the character. And yeah, Elvis's movies were a joke. Come on, like it was just because he was famous and he was gonna sing in the movie. So,
okay, to segue into that.
Sorry,
then,
Elvis.
who is your favorite actor, and then who's your favorite actress?
I have to say, okay. Okay, so favorite actor first. I'll have to say Joaquin Phoenix. I think he's my favorite actor. God, he's so good. My favorite actress. This one's hard because I have so many, but I'm like, how do I categorize them? So it's hard. And I know I'm like not even thinking of the other male actors that I like, because I like, you know, dang, let me think. Okay, female actresses. I mean, Halle Berry is a really good one. I haven't seen anything she's been in recently. I know there was like a movie of her kid getting abducted, and I haven't watched that one yet. Maybe I'll make a point to watch that one today. She is incredible. Viola Davis, I actually would like to mention because she's someone who is really popular right now, recently, and dude, she's so good, so good. There's others. There's definitely others. What is her name? I can't. I'm trying to think. She was in. Oh, what was that movie? Dang, she was in. She played like. She owned like a. I don't know. She was like a fashion designer or something, and then Anne Hathaway was like her assistant, or like intern. I'm trying to think of her name, and I can't even remember the movie. But
It's not coming to me either.
yeah, I'm trying to think what it is. It's gonna come to me at some point. Anyway,
Are you more of a movie person or do you like TV series?
I like both. I can appreciate both. They're they're just different. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They're so different. What I like about movies is, I'm always gonna love, like, movies are always gonna be something I just love. I used to work at a movie theater, the one in Mililani, for a while when I was younger, and that was probably the best job just because I got to watch every movie for free. And then, when they had posters and stuff, you could like sometimes you could like take the poster home. But it was just my fascination with cinematography and actors and actresses and characters and stories and all that. And what I like about movies is no matter what's going on in your life, right? Let's just say you're having a horrible day, or life is good. You sit down in that movie theater, and for an hour or 2 hours of your time, you're just focused on this story and what's happening. Like you almost forget everything else. And when I was going through one of the hardest times of my life, one of my sergeants, who was my team leader, so shout out to Giovanni, he took me to the movies and was like, let's just watch this movie for like an hour and a half. Like, don't think about what's going on. And I remember like being so like captivated by this movie for an hour and a half. I don't even remember what the movie was, to be honest. But afterwards, I realized, yeah, like that movie saved me that day. Like, I was like, because I for that hour and a half, I wasn't thinking about the stressful thing that I was going through. I wasn't thinking about my life. So I will always love movies. You haven't even asked me what my favorite directors are.
Oh, we're getting to that. We're getting to it.
But yeah.
Nice. Well, I guess we'll segue into favorite director.
I have a lot. I have a lot of different ones. Scorsese's the one, like top. M. Night Shyamalan. And the thing about M. Night as a director is, I feel like, and I've talked to people about this, I feel like with his movies, you can only watch certain ones once, because once you know the ending and stuff, like it kind of it like you can't really, you can watch it again to like appreciate other parts of it, but in terms of like it's something about his movies that when you watch it for the first time, it's getting you into this thing, it's telling you X, Y, and Z, and then there's like something you find out. And the feeling of his movies the first time you watch them, you can't feel that again after you watch it multiple times, because you already know what that thing is. But he's genius at creating that. It's like a rare moment of like realization, or maybe something scary, or something like that. So he's great. He's wonderful. His name's escaping me now. Inglourious Bastards. Quentin Tarantino.
Yes.
God. Quentin Tarantino, I know he's a super controversial director to a lot of people, and he's had a lot of different themes, and people think he's a weirdo and whatever else. Potentially, I don't know the man personally, obviously. I only know of the work, and I'm only speaking on the works that I've seen. Like really next level stuff. I mean, in terms of things that are scary or like storylines, I think yeah, it's such creativity, you know. It's good stuff. I love a lot of his movies. Love a lot of his movies, and I'm sure there's a couple others that I'm forgetting, but those would definitely be the top ones. I guess you could say I like horror movies, but I like all kinds of different movies as well. So
Nice. Going back to the Tarantino thing, have you ever heard about how like all of his movies are connected, like the Tarantino verse?
mm-mm.
Oh, so if you look at what types of cigarettes all of the main characters smoke, they all smoke this cigarette called Red Apple. Like if you watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Leonardo's character is promoting at the very end a Red Apple cigarette. And if you watch, I think what was it, the Hateful Eight or something like that. If you or yeah, I think it was called the Hateful Eight. If you watch that one, they're smoking a Red Apple cigarette as well. And then there's something like I think it was like Django's character is like related to was a black guy in Pulp Fiction. There was oh god, I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I don't
Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like those characters are, but it's like all of his movies are connected somehow.
Interesting.
Yeah, try to look it up, the Tarantino verse.
Is he the one that appears in all his movies, or is that Steven Spielberg I'm thinking of?
He appears in some of his movies. He's been in some of his movies.
I think what's interesting is when directors have that little like their thing. Like there's
Yeah.
that one director that has like the doves are always in his movies or something like that. Like I like that. I think
Yeah.
that's cool. I think I've kind of created that as well for myself. I don't want to reveal what it is because I haven't made any. I mean I technically I made one short film, but I mostly acted in it. But I have a lot of. I would love to make movies. That would be cool. I have
That could be our next
so
project.
many ideas to making movies. Yeah, if anyone wants to be an actor in any of my movies, that would be awesome. I can pay you in energy drinks, but and clout, which I don't have. But you never know. Maybe we win a film festival. That would be cool. That's probably one of my next goals. One of my next goals, besides creating the podcast, one of my goals was to create a movie and enter into a film festival. And so that would be something I'd be really excited to do
Nice.
as a director, so maybe that's something I can do. You haven't asked me what my favorite movie is.
Oh, well, what's your favorite movie?
So for those that know me, you probably know, because I have a tattoo of Brad Pitt on my arm. It was like a 9-hour self-portrait, or
Oh
not
my God, I
self-portrait, but portrait
even-
of him.
I didn't even
But
realize.
it's Brad Pitt from Fight Club, and Fight Club is one of my favorite movies. And one of my friends, she's probably gonna see this, it was just fine, but she posted one day that Fight Club is overrated, and like basically this whole negative Facebook post about Fight Club, and I about lost it and I didn't really lose it, but I was like, yo, I'm ready for this debate, like let's go. But the thing is, you have to understand, Fight Club is based on a book. It's not where somebody was like, oh, let's make a movie. It was based on a book, and the book is slightly different than the movie. Remember, when they make movies, the point of a movie is to bring people to watch the movie. That is the whole point. They're trying to make a high-grossing movie. They're trying to make money. So, also, remember, Fight Club was created not in this. It wasn't created in 2024. It was, I think it came out in like 96 or something. Correct me if I'm wrong. Around there, like in the 90s, right? The impact that it had at that time, what it was at that time, was pretty interesting stuff. When you dissect that movie now in this current age, now if that movie came out today, I don't think people would even really understand it as much. But when it came out then, I think it was a little ahead of its time, and I don't think people have the same interest in a movie like that today, and plus it's kind of overdone, the whole thing where like you're watching a story and then you realize that they're the same person, or you realize that the person's not alive or something like that. Like that's so overdone now in movies. But I think Fight Club was one of like the first ones that was like that revealed that you're like, oh my god, like this dude is like just the same guy. It's the same guy. And I think what I get out of that movie and what I got out of that movie, to me was really valuable. You know what I mean? Because I feel like all of us in some way represent two versions of ourselves or multiple versions of ourselves. It can be more than just one. But I think, you know, to your family, you might have a version of yourself. To the public, you might have a version of yourself. Who you are behind closed doors, who you really are to yourself in the mirror could be another version of yourself. And in thinking about that, I find it interesting, you know, and my goal is to always try to be the most authentic version of myself at all times. Of course, it's super hard to do that because we just have a natural tendency to protect ourselves out in the world. But yeah, there's so many different themes about that movie that are really interesting. I think it's one of the first movies that really kind of emphasized split personality or schizophrenia. I think it's one of the first movies that really kind of talked about that in a subtle way. And yeah, and I think everybody takes whatever they take from movies. Like, I'm not going to have the same opinion about a movie as somebody else, you know, and some people are more into the art. Some people are more into the filming, the way the movies are filmed. Like Terrence Malick is really amazing director in terms of like having, you know, the camera set on like the wind blowing and stuff, and like you get that feeling, like you feel the calm of the character, like you're the character, you know what I mean? Like he's brilliant at creating that, and like yeah, it's just different, I think. So I'm fascinated.
What is there any TV series you're currently watching?
Oh my god, you're gonna like judge the hell out of me for saying this. I actually watched the Kardashians last night, and it's so hard because like my opinion of them, like as a family and as a whole and whatever, it just, I go back and forth. I go back and forth with how I feel about them because number one, I don't know them personally. So the only things I can think, feel, and go off of are their show, their social media, things like that. And at the end of the day, they are normal people, but it's really hard for me to watch the show because like I don't like support how Kim Kardashian got famous, like for sure I don't. But there are things that like they do that I like, and things that, you know, I mean, they're clearly successful in the world of Hollywood, and there's no denying that. And they've marketed and capitalized on everything, you know, that like we all fell for it, you know what I mean? And it's hard to blame them for that, to be like, oh man, if, you know, like Kylie Jenner, for example, like, oh man, if I influence all these people and I make these lip kits, like all these kids are obsessed with me and they're gonna buy them, you know, like from a business standpoint, like that's freaking genius. Like, is it great for the world and for, you know, society and like how little girls think of themselves? Now I think now that they're older and they're adults and they have children, they're looking back and they're like, oh shoot. Like, I think, you know, it's like hindsight's 2020. I think they're realizing that maybe the things that they got famous for or the things that they were promoting and stuff like that might not be the most positive for people in the world, but they have an influence nonetheless, you know? What's cool about them and their show is like you can see them realizing these things in real time, you know? So you do see them growing. So I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it all because they are successful. They have a lot of fame and money, but like, is it worth it to them? Like,
I feel like
you know?
everybody, once they get to maybe like their mid to late 30s, that's when they start looking back at their life and like actually like analyzing like what they've done to get successful or famous. And like you said, they're starting to realize that in real time.
Yeah.
And they're, how old are they now? They're,
Like Kim Kardashian's in her like 40s.
yeah. So the timing kind of checks out where it's like around that time they should be kind of like assessing what they've done in their past and realizing
And
that
she has
some
4 kids.
Really?
Yeah, Kim Kardashian has 4 kids.
I didn't even know that. Wow.
Right, because
I'm not
That's
keeping
the
up with the
thing.
Kardashians.
you're not keeping up, man. And the fact that I know that, I know too much, bro. But that's the thing. Like, I'm not saying I'm not a fan. That's the problem. It's like I respect the business, a lot of the business stuff about it. That's what's hard, and that's what makes me torn. Is like, if you look at it from like, is this great business wise? And I'm very into business. You know, that's what I'm studying in school. Oh yeah, absolutely. Like they've done great. But the part that concerns me and the part that gets me so morally torn is that there are a lot of things that they have done in their life that's like not does not align with my beliefs. I mean, I don't believe that anyone should be famous off, you know, pornography or making a sex tape or whatever. And you guys have to understand, like, if you look at the whole history of the Kardashian family and Kim was the personal assistant to Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton got famous off a sex tape. Obviously, she was an heiress to the Hilton dynasty and all this stuff. So there was more to it, right? But look too at like at Paris's life. Like she's basically her whole life not as much as Kim because her family already had such a dynasty and such a business like model that was already set before that happened to her. And she was on the simple life. So she was hilarious. So she had a personality, clearly. That was interesting. But let's be real. Like, people didn't really know a lot about Paris until she became this, like, pop person. You know, this, the first selfie maker, the first
They were
celebrity
the first internet
that
influencers.
that was the
before that
first
was a thing, yeah.
influencer. Right,
They were the
right.
first
So
internet.
there's a lot of credit to that. But, like, you're like, what got her popular initially? That's her name, a sex tape, not the best way to get popular. And then now she's, you know, a mother, a respectable DJ, things like that. But I'm just, you know, it's really hard to change a reputation when there's something bad on it, right? Or what, you know, you can, some people consider it bad, some people don't, right? I also think, obviously, anything that you create in your private life shouldn't be exposed, obviously. That's for monetary, that's messed up, you know what I mean? Because, you know, but there's also the conversation with Kim and the Kardashian family that there's a lot of things, and I don't know what's true or not, but they basically say that, like, she did it on purpose, right? So where Paris's was more of, like, not really her doing, a lot of people compare it and they say Kim kind of did it on purpose because she knew it would work to get her famous. I don't know. I mean, you know, if you're that desperate for fame, it just is what it is. Maybe that is something, you know, that, but I don't know. I mean, she has so much money now that it's like, but I'm sure it and you can see on the show that it frustrates her, you know, because now she's trying to be taken seriously as a lawyer, and now it's like, you can tell people are like, but I also don't think that people should be condemned for their past. So like I said, there's a lot of different, you know, I think that as long as they continue to grow as people and you always try to better yourself like everybody else, then it is what it is. But that is the show that I sometimes find myself watching, and I'm like, why am I watching this? But I don't have very much drama in my life, so I think that's why I kind of gravitate to like reality TV. But reality TV shows, Vanderpump Rules, that's like one of my favorite shows too.
Yeah. Well, we're almost out of time. We're at 40 minutes or so. So I guess we'll shift gears into something that I know that you like, which is wrestling. My favorite wrestler of all time was Dean Ambrose. When he came out with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins on The Shield. And to me, that was like the best arc that I've seen for so long on wrestling. what is your favorite
That's yeah.
what is your favorite wrestler, or what is your favorite betrayal? What's your favorite heel turn? Like,
I have a few. And they've changed as I've gotten older. I think the Steve Austin, The Rock were like big guys back then. You know, my dad had a big influence about that because he was such a Rock fan. And that's actually how, what I thought about The Rock, or what I knew The Rock as for so long before he was an actor, right? I ended up meeting him at the swap meet one time, but I remember my dad was like, "Oh my God, it's The Rock," and I was definitely into WWE. I would play it all the time with my friends, and I think they came out with a video game or something, and the graphics now that I look back, were like horrible. Like, how do we play this game? But it was so fun. That was like one of the most fun video games, in the beginning, because you're like, oh, I can like throw the guy. But Steve Austin for sure. Hogan, even more so because I met Brooke Hogan in LA, and she's like the nicest, like scariest person on the planet. She's so pretty and so scary all at the same time. Yeah, I met her at Toca Madera, and she gave me her like tacos or whatever. It was just, but yeah, she's sweet. She's a sweetheart. But yeah, like the Hogan, like his character and stuff. So I think them, and then as I gotten older, I got really into like Eva Marie and her sister, and then yeah, I like their story. They had like a little reality show, I think, too, for a minute. And I'm actually friends with so Eva Marie's married to Jonathan Coyo, and I was actually friends with his brother for a long time, Daniel. And so I do talk to Jonathan here and there on social media. He's a cool guy, but they're definitely people like in the fitness world too that I look up to, because I don't even think she wrestles anymore, but like I think that's the cool thing about it is like the athleticism. Like, you don't think there's athleticism to it, but at the end of the day, it's like live entertainment. Like, it's cool, and fighting's always cool. And it's always cool. It actually is cool when you're not really hurting the person. Like MMA and stuff, that's stuff super wild to me, because like someone's actually getting hurt. Like, that's wild. Like, like someone could literally get killed like on live TV. Like, that's crazy. Obviously they stop the matches and stuff when they get, but it's like, that's nuts, but WWE's kind of cool in the way that like, they're not like really hurt, like they might get hit with some stuff and you're like, oh, like that's good enough for me. Like, I don't need to get to watch somebody get completely beat up, but yeah, I don't know, fascinating in a way. So yeah, wrestling's cool. Did you play wrestling?
I was super into Mankind back in the day in elementary, and I would always put my sock on my hand and I'd wear like a white button-down shirt with a tie sometimes.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Yeah. He was my favorite back when I was in elementary. And when him and The Rock connected together as a tag team, The Rock and Sock Connection, I was like, dude, you remember that?
Yeah, that's old. Mm-hmm. Dang, I gotta watch some of those.
Yeah.
Once in a while, some of my Twitch followers and I will like talk about wrestling, because they're super into it too, and they're like, we should do a watch party, and I always say I'm gonna do it, and then I don't end up doing it. But yeah, wrestling's fun. I thought you were gonna ask me about jujitsu. I was like, jujitsu's not wrestling, but okay, that makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
wrestling's good.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're almost at an hour. Maybe if there's any final words you'd like to say, now's the time.
Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching and dealing with BS with Lucy. This is a little different because we went off a bunch of questions and I never stopped talking. So hopefully my explanations make sense. God, I didn't realize how much I love movies until I started talking about it. I'm like, oh my God, so like movies this. I could talk about movies all day. I could talk about genres all day. I can talk about all kinds of stuff. I actually saw a post today that was showing like 10 things I hate about men, Mean Girls, like all those like older classic movies. And I was like, I need to sit down and watch all of these all in a row. Movies are great. Movies are so great. I'm glad we got to talk about that a little bit. And And I'm glad we got to talk about just random stuff a little bit about me so everybody can kind of get to know me a little bit more. And if anybody wants to go to a movie, I'll probably never say no. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for hanging out. We're going to have a lot of really awesome guests coming up in the next few weeks. So please like, please subscribe, and thank you so much for watching Lucy's Paradise Podcast. Aloha, guys.